We'll jump to our next question comes from Keith. Only one Keith question today. Interesting. Keith asks, does refresh in bank speak translate to nerf in everyday language? Craig, I'll jump back to you on this one, although I don't think it will, based on your previous answer.
But again, does it fit your lifestyle? Here's the thing. I'm not traveling 70 nights a year or more or taking 40 or 50 flights. But for example, Hyatt being a transfer partner to Chase has meant absolutely diddly to me. Out of the 200 plus nights I've spent in the last 2 years for work traveling, I've stayed at maybe Hyatt 12 times. So if Chase were to lose Hyatt, oh, okay, that sucks. I'd laugh a little bit because me and RJ would find it hilarious. It's not an end all be all for me. Now, would that be a devaluation in the credit card community that would send us all spiraling into an apocalypse? Absolutely. But I think it falls back to what's your lifestyle. So I don't necessarily think it means nerf. I think it means it's probably going to get more expensive. I think it would be irresponsible for me to say that refresh doesn't mean more money, but I don't think it necessarily means bad.
No, that's fair. Definitely hear that. Lonnie, your thoughts here.
No, I don't think a refresh necessarily means a nerf. There's been a couple of refreshes in the since 2024. I'll even add the last year in there that have actually come out ahead in terms of like benefits and things like that. I personally think the Amex Gold Card refresh worked out in most of our favors. It took a while to see it because we were so adverse to refresh, new higher annual fee, burn is dead, it's over, it's killed, keeper canceled, die. And then later on, we're like, wait a sec, this is actually still pretty good. It's actually got a little bit better. And I've mentioned this before. I don't even use 100% of the credits that come through there, like my Resi credit. And I still kept it because it still works. It actually works a little bit more now. But I think we're going back to Spaceco's question that we just left. I think we're getting to a point where refresh is just, let's just throw a whole bunch of stuff in the pot and see how it tastes later. We're calling that a nerf because before refresh like added value, added benefit. Like I remember going back to the CSR. I remember when it was 450 and then it went up to 5. That was a refresh and it got better with it. The jury's still out on this next refresh. I'll say I'm going to stand strong on my stance. I'm not going to give it a yes or no, thumbs up, thumbs down until I get all the benefits. But at least the last time they did it, yeah, it worked. Like I mentioned, I have the United cards. Guess what? They refreshed them. It actually made them better. It actually made it easier for people to open up and get into those United ecosystem, no matter which card you pick, as long as it wasn't the gateway. Don't get the gateway. But get any of the other colored ones and you're just fine. It actually made it better if you already had one. So I won't just go ahead and put a flat across the line refresh equals nerf, but I do understand the question of these most recent refreshes could equal nerf.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag across the board. Some have been not great, others better than expected. RJ, your thoughts here?
What's the old line about baseball? You win a third of the games, you lose a third of the games, and then a third of the games is where the season actually matters. That's how it works for refreshes. A third of the people are going to hate it, a third of the people are going to love it, and it's really that final third of people that decide if it's a successful refresh. I think we are so programmed to see things in black and white and extremes, or see it as this card isn't for me, I must hate it. If tomorrow, I'm trying to think of a company, I don't have any non-co-brand Wells Fargo cards, right? If tomorrow Wells Fargo completely changed their entire lineup, they updated the journey and the autograph, they launched 6 new cards and took the biggest swing in the world, right? Some people would love that. Matt would have to call off of work and make 47 videos in 24 hours. Like it'd be a lot for him. But some people would love it. Some people would hate it on principle because reasons. And then some people would take a week or two to figure out how they feel about it and then come down on one side or the other. And it's like we're so programmed to look at a thing and instantly make that judgment. We're so programmed to look at it and go, oh, the annual fee went up on the gold and I don't like that, so I'm going to cancel this card. But I'm not actually going to cancel this card. I'm just going to make a video saying I canceled this card so I can get the money from that to offset the annual fee that just went up. Like, we're so programmed to, like, and look, this is a little bit of inside baseball, but like people who do YouTube know the analytics. Like, I do a lot to both lean into and out of the algorithm with this show. Like, I do not use clickbait titles mostly for our show. I could, we might get more views, but then I would not be able to look at myself in the mirror every day because I don't like the clickbait. So, like, YouTubers know those analytics though. They can lean into them if they want. And I think how YouTube frames credit cards impacts the people who are super into credit cards, which feeds out to the people who are moderately into credit cards, which feeds out to the people who are not really into credit cards, which feeds out to the random person on TikTok that like got a random YouTuber's like cut up video of like why the gold card is Satan now. So it filters out from those people who are just trying to get clicks on a video by talking about how terrible the gold is. But yeah, do I think the easiest cards to change fundamentally are the cards with the most on them, which probably means the highest annual? Yes, which is why we're seeing them. Nobody's going to have a heart attack if the blue cash every day gets completely changed. For better or worse, nobody will care. I'll make a joke about Amex and cashback, and that's about all that you will see on that card, except for Matt's video where he explains it all because he is Mr. Newsman. I think we have gotten to the point where there's just so much algorithm that filters out that we're not actually thinking critically anymore.
I'll tell you this much. I'll get beat to publication on that Blue Cash Everyday video about how the new Blue Cash Everyday, it changes everything. Anyway, does refresh and bang speak translate to nerf in everyday English? Really just depends. It's going to depend on your relationship to the card that gets changed. If you are a Sapphire Reserve holder who's feeling burned by the changes to the Sapphire Reserve, yes, refresh equals nerf in your mind. Now, I'm still reserving judgment, not until October. The Sapphire Reserve refresh is part of a grander scale of refreshes across the Chase personal lineup. Like, the Sapphire Preferred is going to get refreshed. The Chase Freedom cards are going to get refreshed. It's entirely possible that that family of cards have had their refreshes written out, but Chase is going to wait until after the second week of September to announce them, because in the second week of September, they may also be getting the Apple card. We don't know yet, but there is more to that story than just the Sapphire Reserve. So we have to see what's going to happen from there. The Hilton cards, when the Hilton cards were refreshed, yes, it sucked that you lost Priority Pass, but you got really easy to use credits on the Hilton Business, on the Hilton Surpass, and on the Hilton Aspire, all of which outpace the annual fee of those cards and are really simple to use, especially in the Hilton Honors and Hilton Surpass, where literally the easiest way to activate those credits, go to a Hilton 4 times a year. If you can spend 4 nights at a hotel every year and you've signed up for a Hilton card, go to a Hilton 4 times a year. You get your $50 credit or your $60 credit on the Business. The Aspire, it's a little bit different, but the credits on that are still relatively easy to hit. So those cards got better. The Delta cards, you can argue, got better. The gold card, we look at the gold card refresh now in light of what happened with the Sapphire Reserve, in light of what other, some argue, like for Lonnie, the United cards got better. For others, the United cards got worse. So with the Chase changes this year, now folks are looking back longingly at the gold card refresh because, oh, it was $84 in Duncan. That wasn't so bad. And $100 on Resi. That wasn't so bad. Yeah, it was split $50 each half of the year, but I can make it work. So does refresh in bank speak translate to nerf? No. Nerf is your interpretation of the card that you're holding that got refreshed. And in terms of the Sapphire Reserve, I think there's more coming. There has to be more coming because that change was far too drastic to just be one card and everything else remains the same. There is a much bigger play being done with Chase. We just have to, unfortunately, let them cook, and we'll see what happens at the end of the year. Do I expect big things from Chase? No. Is it possible that Chase comes out with a really well-functioning ecosystem that's finally coherent and doesn't make your brain want to just turn into mush? Maybe. How likely that is, I don't know, but I'm willing to give them a chance. Wells Fargo is still cooking. Capital One's going to be refreshing the Venture X probably next year. If cards are on a 4 to 5 year cycle, next year is 5 years from launch. Venture X folks, be prepared. They got rid of the $95 Saver card and just renamed the Saver One Saver. So like they changed that aspect of the lineup. There's still a rumored updated potential Saver card coming out. So everybody's going to be doing changes to their cards. US Bank is adding transfer partners. Yes, everybody's worried about what the altitude reserve looks like, and everybody's, as long as they beat Wells Fargo with transfer partners, it's probably going to be okay. But losing by 1.5 in the travel portal is really sucky. What if they give you like 1.5 pay yourself back in some category that nobody else does? And then suddenly it's something that everybody works off of. You could pay yourself back for dining at 1.5. Pay yourself back for dining at 1.75. Pay yourself back on your utilities at 2 cents per point. US Bank comes up with some zany ideas. Maybe they come up with something that makes the US Bank Altitude Reserve better. Not saying they will, but they could.
7 months it will live before they kill it like a wounded water buffalo.
7 months is generous.
I was giving them a little bit of hope. It's football season. They're going to be watching that.
Oh,
they're going to be the Steelers. You know it's going to be about 6 months before something bad happens. Or, you know, the people who break things. Still can't believe Smartly didn't even last 6 months. But does refresh equal nerf? No. Your interpretation of nerf is heavily dependent upon what cards you're using. And Keith, not to beat this horse, I'm sorry, I have to take a swing at the horse on the ground. We don't know what's happening with your favorite 4-letter company come October or come the fall. Those changes are going to probably be rough, but we'll see. So no, I don't think refresh translates to nerf. I think nerf is in the eye of the beholder, but the Sapphire Reserve changes were so drastic and everybody is taking them so personally, and then add in the changes to the US Bank Altitude Reserve that have been announced so far, which we don't have the full story there, and the Smartly debacle, everybody interprets refresh to be nerf. But there have been other cards that have had updates and gotten better. And we don't know what the MX Green is going to look like in the fall. We don't know what the MX Platinum is going to look like in the fall. One of those cards is probably going to be really, really good. The other one's probably going to make you question your sanity. But thanks, Keith.